Welcome to the Pressure Beast Podcast.
This much pressure shouldn't feel this good.
One little tidbit. One thing that kind of irritates me.
Are we back?
We're back.
We're back. Encore.
Bum, bum. We need a
Psych.
gong.
We're not really done.
We need a gong.
We do need a gong right here, right in the middle.
Ding. Oh, that'd be cool. Right where I think a dude is.
Yeah.
You know, I had a conversation with a guy earlier today, and I tried to explain to him why certain things in the field work, but yet they don't pass through an FEA or design couch, right? And what I was trying to get across to him was that ASME by default has that 3.5 to 1 safety factor, Section 8 Division 1. And that when you have a part that hasn't been properly identified and evaluated either by a design formula or by Appendix 46, so the design formula or the Appendix 46 might show that this thing fails, right? But if they didn't do the proper legwork in front and they just built it and then sent it out, right, like they did in the old days, and they're like, well, shit, it works fine.
Right.
And you're absolutely right, it might work fine. But the problem is you're eating into that 3.5 to 1 safety factor, right, that you may not know of, right? So when those FEAs, design formulas and all that say it needs to be this thick, and you're like, well, that's silly. Well, it might be, but the reality is trying to get the understanding that just because something works in the field does not mean that it's ASME's formulas or requirements are wrong. It's you have to uphold a 3.5 to 1 safety factor.
Right.
And if that's a huge sponge, that's a huge, shock absorber, right? To handle that stresses and all that. But yeah, it still might work, but that doesn't mean it meets a safety factor. And there's just no way of understanding if it meets that or not without doing the proper evaluation and design and so on and so forth.
Oh, man, a lot of things will work in real life.
Right.
They don't meet code. They don't meet the safety standards of code, and that's where it becomes the issue. And, I mean, kind of brings up an interesting thing.
But I could see it being irritating, be like, hey, we built this thing for 20 years this way, and we've been running it this way. And be like, well, you have, and you just got lucky, but it doesn't negate the responsibility to meet code.
So when do you think they're going to lower that safety factor? They've already lowered it twice, right?
I don't see them lowering it.
They lowered it, back in 68-ish, and then 98?
The 2000 era.
Yeah.
I don't personally see them lowering it unless they
offset.
No, not unless they offset with NDE. There's too many.
I mean, they are pushing everything to Div 2 so much.
When the 2021 Appendix 47 came out, I could see a justification for lowering your stress values or increasing your stress values, I should say. So by raising the allowable stresses to allow the shit to get thinner during that 21 or 23 code, where you now are identifying who is capable and responsible and has the knowledge and comprehension to do design work, I could see there being an opportunity to raise the stress value, lower the safety value. Now that has been reversed, I do not see that ever coming into play. I really don't. And the reason being is you just got too much ambiguity in the market. You got some inspectors that are beautiful people that do great work, and you got some that are just collecting hours and paychecks and just trying to make it through the day. You got some manufacturers that blood, sweat, and tears to make it right, and you got some that are doing everything they can to just make it through their build and hopefully come out profitable. So with all that being said, not only that, right, or another opportunity to do this would be to go way of PED, where now the mills are certified, right? But until then, with the technology we have today to override a PDF we don't know what the hell if the MTR has been molested or not. You know what I mean? It could be gerrymandered. And
the fact that you can trust everything on that MTR other than the chemicals and physicals.
With all that being said, I don't see them making another change in any time soon unless mills are certified, unless NDE offsets that, unless there goes back to being some sort of level of qualification established by ASME for the individual doing the design work.
Right. So if I had to take a guess, right, and this is just a wild guess and I have nothing to back it up, but I truly believe that Div 2 is going to become a harmonized standard with PED. everything that is not a standard run-of-the-mill pressure vessel is going to be taken out of Div 1 and put into Div 2. And then Div 1 is going to be more like an API code book where they tell you if you're this thickness, you get this size reinforcement pad. It pretty much lays it all out for you and kind of spoon feeds it to you.
That's be interesting.
And then everything that has to be calculated is going to be calculated through Div 2. And that's my outlook on it. And of course, the mills and the NDE companies need to be certified. I don't understand why they're not certified. I don't understand why the manufacturer that has no idea in the world about manufacturing metal material or NDE is in charge of reviewing and approving them for the processes that they're doing.
That would be a great fly in the wall to overhear a conversation as to why. A couple things to piggyback on that. Why are weld machines not calibrated? Right. Great question. And why are not mills not certified? Right. They are a PED, which means there is a flavor for it. That means I think there's almost a responsibility to almost require that.
Right. And on top of that, you need to throw NDE on there too.
Right.
NDE companies need to be certified through an ASME process.
I tell you another way that they could raise lower the safety factor, raise the allowable stress factor overnight.
What's that?
War. If you take a World War II situation where it's just a world war, right? And we are back into a grinding of a country that when they start saying, hey, look, you used to manufacture, fire hydrants. Now you're going to be building fucking bomb casings, right? So if there's ever a situation where there is a war effort and, we're too young, but back when I was a nom, it almost got there. But
you don't know, do you? I was in World War I and II.
Well,
my youngest daughter's entire school now knows this. So the youngest, they're talking about veterans and all that.
Papa War.
And she knows I'm a veteran, and she only knows of two wars in the history of the earth, World War I and World War II. So common sense to her was, hey, he's a veteran. That was the war. He was in World War I and World War II. Well, she stood up in front of her class and proclaimed this. And she came home that day and told me, I was like, oh, you did not.
That's why you got shell shock and PTSD, right? From World War II. That's crazy.
But that and the metal consumption
well,
for
that's
war.
What I'm saying, right? So back in that time frame, right? There was metal drives, rubber drives, and everyone contributed to this war effort. I could see there being a very quick errata that says, hey, look, from this era to this era, we can lower the safety ratings for these vessels that are going into these applications of wartime where you're going to be able to get more vessels out with the same amount of metal. Right. So if something that had to be half inch thick and get away 3/8, you're going to be able to stretch that metal out, especially if there's a metal shortage.
And anything being built for military purposes is typically built under a mil spec and not ASME anyway. I was on an aircraft carrier. We had huge 1,200 pound modified D-type Babcock Wilcox boilers. No code stamps. They're all just mil spec.
Right. No, I'm not talking about the I guess I'm more the infrastructure. Of war. The buildings building the planes and buildings building the
Yeah. So if there's a material shortage,
it may not even have that much anymore. But anyway, that's such a far-fetched thought that I just thinking that might be another avenue. But realistically, I don't think we're going to have a stress change.
Not for a while. Not.
There's no need to. I mean, I think there would be. It goes back to philosophy, right? Would you rather put an innocent man in jail or let a guilty man free, right? So society has always said would rather have a guilty man go free than put an innocent man in jail, right?
Right.
It's one of those that if shit's working right now, why go fuck with it and to be able, next thing you know, be like, shit's blowing up. And they take that 3.5 and, they next thing you know, someone started getting hurt and all that.
Right.
I don't think they want that on their
I'm not
plate.
a fan of lowering the safety factor at all. It is there to idiot-proof the industry. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about time and time again how the level of knowledge in the industry is dropping. You have the older generation that's retiring. There's a huge age gap between the younger generations coming in. The amount of knowledge being passed down, the The tests are becoming easier for AIs. The culmination of things working against the industry.
Right.
That to make them less safe is a horrible idea.
Theoretically, you could always build a vessel on. Well, you to an extent, not a inventory vessel, but a one-off vessel. You could always build it to Div 2 if you really need to get the material thinner.
Right. And,
then you got the pain of the Div 2 ship. But
and that's where I think the Div 2 Class 1 came in, is Div 2 Class 1 is a Section 8 pressure vessel or Section 8 Div 1 pressure vessel. You don't have the PEs involved. You don't have all the additional requirements, but you don't use the safety factors of Div 2. You use more of a safety factor of Div 1 for it.
I just, and to think it all started with one book.
Yeah. A long, long time ago.
One of the founders of ASME, the three guys, one of them looks identical to my fucking neighbor.
Does he?
Yeah. He was back in World War I and World War II as well.
I might know him.
You might know him, yeah. So anyway, every time we do that seminar and we go through the history of ASME, I'm like, that is what my neighbor looks like.
Oh, next time we do it, we have him walk through.
Oh, shit. It'd be like that whole
introduction.
It'd be like that whole picture of like Jeffrey Epstein in Israel, right? It'd be like, he's alive, but like he's alive, right?
Yeah. He's a vampire.
And then he comes around. Always, sometimes, maybe, except.
Yes. It's got to happen.
Anyway, appreciate you guys joining us. Hit that like button. We got a little special thing for you there. And great to see you again. See you next time.
All right. Have a good one.
Peace out.